I have 7 kids, and one's 44, one's 43. Another one just turned 40. I have two. My twins are turning 40 next March. So, they're getting into the aging thing now. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, when mom, who is 20 plus years older than them, is doing so well, and they're aching and paining.
Lana, how did you find Carnivore?
Oh, wow, it was a process. I think the first time I heard about carnivore was watching Justin Rhodes on the homesteading. I watch his homesteading videos, and he got sick. He got some kind of arthritis in his back, and he was in a lot of pain, um, and he started to do carnivore to stop the inflammation. Well, he was showing these massive pieces of meat. I'm talking about giant pieces of meat, and they would be covering his entire plate, and he would be like, "Yeah, here's my dinner," showing it to the camera, and I was like, "Wow, that's extreme." Of course, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And I never really considered doing it. I didn't seem to really have a reason, to do that. Um, I had done keto in the past, but I wasn't really a keto person. I tried it a little bit. I think one time I might have lost some weight, but I found it quite expensive because I was buying all these bars and stuff like that. And then I tried it with the fat bombs and all that, and I gained 20 pounds in about a week and a half. It was terrible. I was shocked when I got on the scale and found out I had been gaining weight that week. I was very angry at keto at that point. But I wasn't a big time dieter. I would do things to lose a few pounds, and then I would just not worry about it. I wasn't always on edge about my weight, although, the truth is I was putting on weight a little bit, over the years. Every time 10 years went by, I had another 10 pounds, that kind of thing. And I wasn't sure how to reverse that, but it wasn't a big priority because I was still wearing the same size. I carry my weight over my whole body, and I don't, show it in dramatic ways. So, that can be a plus. It can also be a minus because it's easy to ignore. So time went on, and last year, with 2022, is when I started keto, the carnivore diet. I was having a lot of stomach aches, and I don't really remember when they started, but I know that by the end of last year, they were getting bad. I moved into this house where I'm living now in September, and I can remember being in here and having stomach aches that would last for a couple of days. And they were just achy. It wasn't really enough to, go to the doctor for or anything. I mean, I'm bad about not wanting to go to the doctor. I hate going to the doctor. So, I usually try to figure out what's going on for myself. But then I went to my sister's house after Christmas. I remember it so well because I got to her house on the 26th of December, and I stayed until the 28th. And of course, they had all the goodies left over from their family and everything there. And um, I was eating just a regular Christmas food, and I wasn't stuffing myself, but I was still eating that stuff. And I got a stomach ache on the 27th. I got a bad stomach ache. It was one of the worst ones that I'd had up until that point. Still not bad enough to go to the emergency room or, seek a doctor, but it was just like, what's going on? I mean, I was starting to really notice it. And so, I'm not a drinker. I've never been a drinker. I don't like alcohol. Somebody slipped some into my Coke one time, and I I took one sip, and I'm like, "What is this?" Take it away. It wasn't like you're going to get that over on me. I couldn't stand it. But she said to me, my sister said to me, "Drink some wine. It might help." So she gave me some wine. I'm like holding my nose, trying to get it down. I think I might have got 2 swallows in, and it did help a little. It eased off a little bit, but on the way home, because I had a 5-hour drive home, or actually 7-hour drive home from her house, and I'm driving, and I'm thinking, I've got to do something. This is serious. It's getting worse. I'm going to end up in the hospital. I can tell I'm going to end up in the hospital, and I absolutely don't want yet another surgery. I've had 4 major surgeries. I do not, I made myself a promise last time I had a surgery. Well, as it would happen before Christmas, I had talked to a friend of mine. She's a former client and a colleague, and I was astounded. She looked fabulous. And this is someone that has been having health issues and really fighting weight a lot. And she looked amazing. I couldn't believe. And I said, What happened? You look so great." She said, "Oh, I've been on the carnivore diet. I've been doing Dr. Berry's BBB&E diet for the last 3 months, and I feel wonderful." I'm like, "Well, tell me about it." So she talked about what it was and all that. And I was intrigued at the time, but I didn't really have any motivation to do it myself. Thought, well, maybe that would be something I could try at some point. But on the way home, 7 hours of thinking, it's a lot of thinking. I thought about her, and I thought, that would eliminate everything that might be a problem. And I could maybe stay on it for a month and then add back one thing at a time and figure out what's going on here. So that's how I started. So the day I got home, the 28th of December, 2022, I started my carnivore journey. And I didn't do BBB&E. I just couldn't be that restrictive. So I just ate any kind of meat, eggs, um, some cheese. I didn't really care for the cheese a whole lot. I was still drinking coffee. Um, and I was putting whole cream in my coffee. At that point, I was eating a little bit of cream cheese. I was whipping up the whole cream into whipped cream, and whipping in some cream cheese, and I would add a little vanilla and some salt, and then I would freeze it. And I would do that like fake ice cream or some kind of ice cream. I was really addicted to ice cream in the past. And having that cold something, even if it wasn't sweet, um, that's what I was doing to kind of substitute. I was finding carnivore substitutes for the things that I was eating, all the time. I had pork rinds and cream cheese, not cream cheese, sour cream. Um, and so that's really what I did for the first month, I guess. But something happened because, yes, immediately my stomach aches went away. But 2 weeks later, it was on the 17th, I was on the 15th of January. So I'd only been eating carnivore for about 17, 18 days at that point. I was driving to the airport. I was flying from Jacksonville, Florida to Boston. I was going to be speaking at Harvard for this like a TED talk called a Blue Talk, but it's a type of TED talk. And I wasn't nervous. And I remember driving to the airport going, wait a minute, I'm perfectly calm. What happened? Because every time I would drive to the airport, I mean, I've got the hamster wheel in my head. What did I forget? What did I forget? What if there's an accident? What if traffic is bad and I can't get to the airport? What if the plane's late and I don't get there on time? All these things would be going through my mind, and I would be churning all this anxiety. I was very calm. And the other part of it was I was always worried about food. Am I going to get hungry in the hotel? Am I going to be able to find enough to eat, and find something to buy because you can't take food on the plane? And I was fine. I was just fine. And it was that drive to the airport that I suddenly realized, wait a minute, there's more going on with this carnivore thing than I realized. Something else is going on here besides just no stomach aches. So when that happened, and I had such a good trip there, and I found some hard boiled eggs in a package in a fast, one of those grab and go places. I might have even been at the airport on the way out. Um, and I had some meat sticks, and I had more food than I could even eat. I didn't even eat all the stuff I had in my room, and I had very little in there because I stayed with it while I was in Boston. And when we went, when the group went to a restaurant, I ate meat, and I didn't eat anything else. Um, and it was the best trip I'd had for years because I wasn't hungry. I wasn't anxious. I felt good, and it was awesome. At that point, I had hardly lost any weight. I mean, I wasn't even looking at the scales. As a matter of fact, I um, when I would get anxious and worried about my weight, and I would step on the scales and I would look at the number, I would get this anxiety rush. And I had learned to eliminate things from my life that caused anxiety. So I threw my scales in the trash. I hadn't weighed myself for a couple years. I didn't want that sinking feeling, and part of my lifestyle change and my personal development has been to watch how I feel and adjust my life so that I don't put myself in situations where I am creating anxiety for myself. I started to see it as I'm someone who carries anxiety. I just look for a place to put it. And so I stopped finding places to put my anxiety so I wouldn't feel them. So, anyway, I didn't really know exactly how much I weighed, but I didn't feel any different at that point. The first month, I didn't notice a change. I have now for sure. But that was the first month. And then I decided, well, I'm going to extend it now for 3 months and see what else happens. And wow, so many good things happened to me over the next few months.
Over the next few months, I mean, what have the changes been? Have you, when you kind of see yourself in the mirror, do you feel like whether there's a weight change or not, do you kind of feel like, wow, this is it gradually day by day, it's just a different person I'm seeing, or how's it
Oh,
going?
yeah. Yeah, the changes have been so extensive. I haven't up to this point sat down and made a list, to get them all because there've been so many of them. For one thing, look at my hair. It's not gray. I had some gray streaks in my hair. My hair's going back blonde the way it was when I was in my 20s. Um, and that's major. My last time I took my driver's test, which was it was a year ago when I moved into this house in Florida. I had to get my driver's license changed, and I passed my driving eye exam, and I don't have to wear glasses to drive anymore. That was a shocker for me. There's been a lot. I had pain in my right knee. I twisted my knee dancing. I was in a tango class back in the day. I love tango. I took tango lessons for a couple of years, and still feel like a baby, at tango. Tango is Argentine tango is very, very complex. But I twisted my knee dancing, and it has hurt me probably 5 years. Not all the time, but that nagging pain in my knee, that went away. Um, Sleeping better, more energy, clearer brain. I'm a writer, and so my the clarity of my thinking is very important to me. And yeah, I've noticed a big difference in my productivity, where I can sit and just roll out pages of writing now. And I don't need as much sleep. I'm getting better sleep, and I don't need as much. And I have
Hmm.
energy. Sometimes I just have to get on. I have a little trampoline in my living room, and I have to get on that thing and bounce. I just have to. I've got all
Wow.
this energy, pent up energy.
So I'm interested, regarding the writing. Has So you mentioned clarity, but has anything changed creativity wise?
Hmm, that's a good question. I'm very creative anyway. Um, well, I will say that I've thought about picking up some things that I haven't done for a while. I love to paint, and I actually have an easel in another corner of this room where I've got things set up to start painting. Another thing is I've had stiffness in my fingers that I felt like I couldn't crochet anymore or those kind of things because I used to crochet a lot. I mean, giant things, when I was younger, crocheting, but I haven't done it for a while. And I actually have looked at some patterns and I want to get the crochet back because I want to see how my fingers do with crochet again. And so, yeah, I have been to Hobby Lobby a couple times just to scope out, like, what do I want to try? Yeah, I think it's actually reverse aging. When you put it
Mm.
all together, it's like rolling back the clock. It's
Y-
awesome.
Yeah. So, regarding the tango, you don't have the pain anymore. Have you taken the tango back up?
Actually, I moved, and so I lost my class, and I have been looking for a tango class, and I haven't found one in the
Oh.
area where I live. There's a different type of dance, and I thought about doing that, but I don't know. It's kind of like square dancing where you have sets of four and you go around and, uh, it's a group dance more than just a couples dance. And I don't know if I would like that or not. So
Mm.
I haven't picked it up yet, but now I feel like I could actually do that and have the stamina to stay on the floor and not have to sit down, every couple of songs or whatever. Yeah. So I'm excited about getting back to that to dance again. Mostly, I was taking Latin classes, salsa and tango and that kind of stuff, which I find extremely fun
They
for fun
require
right now.
quite a lot of energy, right?
Oh my, it's a workout. It's aerobic. Yeah, aerobic
It's not
workout.
like ballroom dancing.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, well, I mean, that's awesome that, I mean, you've even got the knowing how much energy would be required, knowing that you're at the point where it's like, well, I actually want to do it again is awesome.
Oh, I feel like the sky's the limit now. I'm going to try a bunch of stuff and see what I could do. Now, my house was in the hurricane, Hurricane Idalia, direct hit on my house in Florida here. And after the hurricane, my power was knocked out. Everybody lost power in this entire county, but my house was damaged. The power line outside to the house was knocked down, and so I had to take these boxes of meat from my freezer. I have a small freezer, was half full of meat. Oh, I was distraught. And I put the meat in a box and I carried it across to my neighbor. We're talking pounds of meat. And I was fine. And I thought, I'm not working out. I'm not lifting weights. I'm not doing anything. I was able to carry those boxes just fine. I mean, it didn't even feel strained. So I shocked myself, at how much stronger I am without trying to get stronger.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
just imagining your neighbor in that hurricane going, "What are you doing?" I've got to save this cow. Uh, um, I, I'm interested to just go back to something you said before. Is like you're on your way to this talk at Harvard, and um, you suddenly felt this feeling of calm about doing this talk. How did the talk actually go? Did that calmness extend to actually during your delivery?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was very stressful. I'm trying to think how many of us. I think there were like 10 of us that were delivering talks that day. We had 20 minutes on the clock and they wanted it perfect. I mean, this was a memorized talk. You had 20 minutes and you had to get it right. And I did have a couple of slides to jog my memory to keep myself going. But when I got up there, the clock was off. The clock wasn't on. It's down on the floor where you can see it, but it was blank. And so, I'm thinking, well, I have it memorized, so I'll just do what I did, and it'll be okay. Just stay on the plan. And I did fine. I think it came out right at 20. And yeah, it did. It did help my nerves a lot. I didn't stumble. I was good. And I was actually happy. to deliver the talk. It was called how it was called Never Date a Narcissist Again, talking about my dating experience as a woman over 50. And so there was some humor in it. It was serious business, but there was some humor in it to begin, that I built into it. And I felt so good. I just felt free. It was nice to give the jokes and laugh and so forth and interact with the audience and all of that. So, I really felt in my element. And instead of this shaky, nervous, quivering stomach feeling, I was on edge because I was on the spot, but yeah, I felt like I was just so much, myself in the moment because I felt good. My body felt good. I didn't have any pain, and I was, sleeping well and feeling um, level. I guess that's a good way to put it. I was feeling level because in the past, I always had these energy highs and lows. I was high sugar, low sugar, caffeinated, caffeine's running out, all this, all these different highs and lows were going on. And so that really did affect, the way I felt about the world, about my interactions with people and so forth. But it was all
Mm,
good.
nice. Um, this kind of rings true for me as I'm a public speaking trainer, and I actually think that as public speaking goes, Carnivore is the perfect complement for public speaking because Carnivore seems to, based on my experience, your experience, and other people I've spoken to, it seems to be like this calming, like almost like a calming drug. It's like calms you down. And the best state you can be in for public speaking is in that calm state where you're able to just have what is basically a conversation with your audience rather than just trying to recite this kind of memorized script, and which is the polar opposite of what calm is, where you're always looking up trying to remember what was the next word, what was the next word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. I've been a speaker for 30 years, and it was a different feeling, a grounded, centered feeling to go up there and deliver that. It was a stressful thing because I usually have 3 points, and then I just talk about the 3 points and go on. I don't, I wouldn't have even tried memorizing anything in the past because I'd be too scared I'd forget, where I was. But I was totally good, and that's on my channel.
How have people reacted to this around you?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. I don't live near my family, so I've told my family that I'm eating this way. Um, they take it with a grain of salt, just, well, if that makes you happy, mom. Um, that's, the way my children have reacted. I have some friends that I have eaten out with and, told them, and they're like, well, that's different, kind of a thing. Um, I had one person, um, and this was really eye opening for me because this was a client, and she came here for a cruise. She was going to get on a cruise ship, somewhere on the coast here in Florida, and she said, "I'll come a day early. We can spend a day and have lunch or whatever." And I said, "Great." I never had met her in person, although we'd worked together for a long time. Um, and so we went to a steakhouse for lunch, and I asked, "Can we go to a steakhouse?" So this was before I had that tip you gave me when you were on my channel about telling people you're allergic and you can't, have whatever on the plate. And so I spent 5 minutes going through with the with the wait staff. No, I don't want this. No, what about that? You could have this. And I was going through this whole conversation with the wait staff. And so then when the person left, my client, she just reamed me out. I mean, she scolded me. She was vehement. She was really, uh bullying me about it. You're not taking care of yourself. You're going to end up sick. You're over 60 like I am, and you're going to have this happen to you and that happen to you and all this doom and gloom. And I mean, she went on, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, thanks for the information, because it was a client. I didn't want to get into it with her. But yeah, it was that was kind of traumatic for me. And also it showed me a side of her that I had never seen before. But yeah, people have all different reactions to it. Now, the thing is, I have two children who have chronic illness, and I want so much for them to do this. I think it would help them tremendously, but they're not really interested in doing this. So I guess the only thing I can do is the next time I see them at the holidays or whatever, just walk in and be myself and let them say, wow, you look great, you know, and then tell the story. I think that's the only thing that's going to happen with that. I've just had to basically let's let it go. Just do what I do. Don't let anyone influence me if I'm wanting to go out. It's interesting because tomorrow I'm going on a little trip with a girlfriend, and we're going to go to a festival and spend the night and come back later. And, we're going to eat out and all of that. And I told her, she said, I'll bring food. And I said, don't bring any food for me. I'm eating carnivore and I'll bring my own food. And she's like, oh, I've been doing something too. We can compare notes. So, that's a good start for the weekend. Um, but yeah, it's been a mixed bag, really. And I just don't mention it a lot unless it comes up, for another reason. Yeah.
And I guess in relation to whether it's friends or your kids or other members of your family, like as long as you're leading by example, at least you're planting the seed so that, the day they're ready to kind of go, okay, well, I've tried everything else, maybe this is the answer. At least then they've got the example to follow to give it a try.
Well, here's the kicker. I'm old enough that my oldest son is 44, and I have another son 40. I have 7 kids, and one's 44, one's 43. Another one just turned 40. I have two. My twins are turning 40 next March. So, they're getting into the aging thing now. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, when mom, who is 20 plus years older than them, is doing so well, and they're aching and paining, and all of that, because my second son is in a healthcare industry, and he totally buys into all the low fat and all that stuff. um but he's now 43. So um, yeah, that to me is that's kind of humorous, because
Yeah.
kids always think they know better, than their parents.
Just wait until
Yeah,
they see you scaling mountains and stuff like that, and
doing tango.
right. So, um, what is a day of eating like for you, Lana? How many times are you eating, and what are the meals made up of?
I don't have a rigid schedule, but I eat late. Most of the time, I eat late, unless I feel particularly hungry in the morning. I don't eat until 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock, depending on the day. I do 2 meals. The first meal is large. It's going to be, a roast, or, I'll cook a big roast and cut it into pieces and then warm it up. And I'll have a big piece of meat to start off with. And then later, I might have eggs, or, something else in the refrigerator. I love to do bone broth and put chunks of meat in the bone broth. And that's very satisfying for me at night. And especially if I heat the bone broth with the meat in it to boiling, and then add a scrambled egg in there. That's a really nice, satisfying meal for me before I go to bed. So that's basically it. I still eat pork rinds sometimes. I still will have a little sour cream. I eat butter, but I don't eat nearly as much butter as I used to. No more coffee. I don't buy whole cream anymore at all. I don't buy cream cheese at all. Once in a while, I might have some cheese, like on top of a hamburger, one piece of cheese on top of a hamburger, something like that, just as something different, but not very often. And that's basically my diet. After about, I think about 3 months in, I just didn't want coffee. I just didn't want it. I don't know what happened, but I was drinking coffee every morning. I have been for years and didn't didn't really want it anymore. So I just dropped off the coffee and went into a terrible withdrawal, full body, like flu symptoms, withdrawal from not drinking coffee. And I wasn't drinking a lot. I have like a 12-ounce mug, and I drink mild coffee, no espresso or anything like that. But it was enough to really make me sick, for about 4 or 5 days, something like that. I was miserable, and when I saw what it was doing to my body to stop drinking coffee, I said, "Well, that's it for me." I had no idea it was doing that to me. Yeah. So coffee dropped off. Now I did drink coffee substitute for a while, and now I'm not drinking that either. So I drink what I call carnivore tea when I want something hot. I'll take a couple tablespoons of butter, some unflavored electrolytes, and boiling water, and put my immersion blender in there and foam it up real good. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. So I don't do it every day, but most days I'll have that at some point during the day if I just want a little something. And what is that? Butter and electrolytes. Yeah, but it soothes my stomach. It makes me feel
Nice.
good.
Nice. And so no more homemade ice cream?
No more homemade ice cream. Just don't want it. I never thought I'd say that. But I just don't want it. Yeah. I just want meat. And
Nice.
beef and lamb. Beef and lamb are the two kinds of meat I'm eating. At some point, chicken fell off, and I made some chicken. I had it in the freezer, so I cooked some chicken. I couldn't even eat it. It tasted like chemicals. It tasted bad. I don't know why. I think my sensitivity to chemicals is really heightened now because I'm not getting chemicals anymore. And I quit eating chicken. I couldn't eat chicken now. If you know, I used to love KFC, that kind of thing, and nah, don't even want it anymore. My sister, when I was up to see my sister, this was after Christmas. This is since I've been carnivore for a while. She said, "Oh, I want to go to this place that has chicken. They have the best chicken ever." And so she gets this chicken, and I get a piece of chicken, and I'm trying to eat it, and I'm really not enjoying it. She's like, "Oh, isn't this the greatest?" I don't know what happened, but I just don't want it. So I'm eating beef, and I found some lamb in the store, and I bought it, and I love lamb. I found out lamb is great. Yeah, so that's basically what meat I'm eating now. Every once in a while, I'll get some pork ribs already made, and have them. But the last time I did that, I didn't enjoy it as much either. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love lamb as well. Unfortunately, we don't really get lamb in Japan very much because it's just not popular here. But when I was back in Australia, I had a lamb shank in a restaurant and it's just awesome. It's just so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
can't
yeah.
find it here much either. Yeah.
Mm. So, in the like, is lamb just not so popular in the US, or is it just the
No,
area you happen to be living in?
it's not popular in the US. You can
No.
find it once in a while. There were certain grocery stores I knew had it, and it would be next to the beef. And I went to Sam's Club last week, and they had some. So it was like a find, that they had it. And yeah, so the grocery stores do not have it much. I guess they don't sell it
Mm.
much.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, I guess this is it for you. There's no going back?
Oh no. I've come too far to turn back now. Yep. I just love this lifestyle and I love the simplicity of it. I absolutely love going to the grocery store, going to the one corner of the store. In 10 minutes, I'm out. My refrigerator is so clean. There's hardly anything in there. The same thing with my freezer. My grocery bill has dropped, and people say, "Oh, meat's so expensive." Well, I'm not eating chips. I'm not eating all the other stuff, that I used to fill the cart with. I've got my 4 or 5 packages of meat and eggs and bacon, and that's it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's way less expensive to eat this way for me. And so, yeah, I love that. Meal prep, 15 minutes, I'm good. And few dishes to wash, not much to do. It's just food. And this is something I thought about the other day because I went in to put some stuff in donation and take my trash. So I offloaded some stuff out of my house this week. And on the way home, I was looking at the stores, going down the road and thinking, do I need anything there? No. Do I need anything there? No. Anything there? No. You want to stop for lunch? No. you know? And I realized how much we use things for entertainment. We shop for entertainment. We eat for entertainment. We cook for entertainment. And we don't need to do that. That's marketing brainwashing. That's what that is. And when you become calm in your body and satisfied, you don't need that stuff anymore. You don't need to play their game by buying into this adrenaline rush or a dopamine rush or whatever you're getting by playing that thing where you're shopping to entertain yourself or eating out to entertain yourself. um, you can be satisfied and happy with a simple, beautiful lifestyle. That's what I see carnivore as. I would never. And here's the other thing, because I'm single. I've been single for 14 years, and I dated a while. There. Thus my speech. But I haven't dated anybody for 5 years, and I thought about that. How would I handle that if I was dating? And I made up my mind. If that person isn't carnivore, I'm not even going to say yes to the first date, because why would I? You don't want to bring complication into your space, with this not agreeing on this, because the cravings for the old food are still there. If you walk through the store and you see the ice cream, oh, there's ice cream, Rocky Road. Oh, that looks awesome. And turn away. Why would I want it in my house? If my significant other is chowing down, on Rocky Road, and I've got to sit there and look at them, no. I mean, if you're already in that space, you're going to live with it. You're going to adjust to it. But if I'm not in that space, why would I create it, for myself? Yeah. So I've taken it to another level, I think.
Nice. So you heard it here first, everyone. We need a carnivore only dating app or something like that created. This is yeah.
Yeah.
Um, nice. So one thing I wanted to touch on was you mentioned your writing. So are you're published?
Oh, yes. I have 44 published books. 27 of them are under my own name, and 16 of them are with, ghostwriting for someone else. So my name is not on those. But, well, 28 now. Number 28 is coming out in November, of my own. And I write under two names. I write under Lana, and I also write under my old name, Rosie Dow. When I when I was married, my name was Rosie Dow. And so my
Hmm.
old books are under that name. But after my divorce, about 2 years after my divorce, I changed my name. I changed my first and last name. It was part of my personal development journey, to get away from all the abuse and the pain of my childhood as well as my marriage. Yeah, so I write under two names, and I have been in the publishing industry for 30 years, and I teach people how to write fiction that can get published and that will sell. My books have sold around 1 million copies now. So that's my life. That's how I earn my living. And I started my YouTube channel about carnivore, the Carb Addict, now Carnivore channel, as a way to help other people that, like me, are addicted to carbs and struggle with it, to bring some focused place to talk about the cravings and talk about the science and all of that, not because I want to make this a part of my livelihood, but because it's giving back, because of the beautiful life I have. I want to make that contribution. But my real life is in book writing and book publishing.
And the can you give us a quick preview of the book that's coming out in November? What's the book about?
Oh my goodness. It's so fun. It's a paranormal cozy mystery, because there's a ghost in it. This woman is putting up a curtain rod, and her dead father shows up, and they're, full body, and starts talking to her just like we're talking now. Um, and it's six women who meet every week for meditation in this bookstore, and they're all quirky. There's tarot readers, there's all these quirky people, psychics and all, and then there's a medical doctor, there's a caterer who do not believe in that crap at all. So they, have this dynamic going on, but they're good friends. And the main character has a stalker, and she doesn't know who it is. This stalker is vandalizing her car, throwing bricks through her window, all this stuff, and she doesn't know who it is. And it's based on a couple of things. I really did have a meditation group in my house for a year. I love those women, and we had a great time. So I took that idea and made it the core of the book. It's the first in a series. And then I had a stalker in 2014 that scared the living crap out of me. And so I took my stalking experience, put it into a mystery where I knew who my stalker was, but this woman in the book, she doesn't have any idea who her stalker is. And of course, there's a murder, in the book as well. It's a murder mystery. So it's published by Olympia Publishing in the UK, and the publishing date is November 30th. It's called The Englewood Medium, Shaken But Not Stirred, by Lana. And so it'll be out, the end of November. I'm super excited about it because it's so much fun. I had a ball writing that story. I'd had the best time because the people are quirky, and situations happen, and weird stuff's going on, and it's okay because it's a paranormal. Nobody cares. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll grab myself a copy, but I might need to get your digital signature on it rather than an autograph. Um,
Yeah.
so, Lana, thank you so much. I'll link to your YouTube channel below, and I'll also link to the book if that's possible. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey with us. Thank you so much.
Dave, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for having me today.